ladies, and welcome to Exmouth Market. Why are we here, Brad?
Mate, we're coming to the Mikkeller Brewpub in London. This is exciting.
It's super exciting. So we all know about Mikkeller San Diego. We know about War Pigs over in Copenhagen. And now we have a Mikkeller to call our own here in the centre of London. This is the Mikkeller Brewpub. We've been Mikkeller beer fans for a long time, but the best beers we've had from them have always been from their brew pubs like War Pigs, San Diego, and their newer Wild Ale brewery, Baghaven. So we were crazy excited to learn that they were planning on opening their own brew pub in London, especially when we found out that it was going to be on Exmouth Market, a vibrant and foodie street right in the heart of the city. And what a space it is! Meet Mads, Operation Manager, who gives us a quick tour. So finally, Mikkeller has a brew pub in the UK, which I think you guys have been hoping to do for a little while, is that right?
For a long time, yeah. I mean, it happened so much quicker than we actually thought, I think.
Right.
Yeah, come and, open our first bar back in 2018. It's kind of like, suddenly we saw this site and it's just like, this is the perfect kind of site to introduce a little brew pub. And now, a couple of years after that,
we've managed to do it, yeah, despite COVID doing its best to delay the opening.
Oh yeah, it did its best. We did it anyway. Yeah.
So I'm dying to have a look around here. So we'll start at the bar?
Yeah, let's go to the bar.
So what kind of beers? I mean, clearly lots of Mikkeller, but there's going to be a mix of stuff from the other sites.
Yeah, the idea is as we go along, we'll have most of the beers going to be brewed on site and just consumed on site. And that'll be anything that we can kind of possibly brew here, so anything lagers, all sorts of ales. And then kind of like bring in a little bit of the stuff that we can do at other Mikkeller places. So the lambics that we're doing in Belgium, something we just can't do here. So it makes sense to have that on tap all the time. We got a Bauhaun with a wild ale place in Copenhagen. We can introduce that as well. Getting a few things in from our American sites. For our perspective, when we build a new site, new bar, a new brew pub or whatever, it's important that just doesn't become too niche, and you kind of like it brings a little bit for everyone that comes in. And I think that's just kind of the evolution of beer bars itself. Like 5, 6, 7 years ago, you'd have more of these like very, very niche bars of like, we specialize in only sour beer, and that's kind of like how we want to be different. I think now it's kind of like embracing just really good products, depending on whatever it is.
Which Mikkeller's uniquely positioned to have, because you do make lambics in Belgium.
We do make lambics in Belgium.
IPAs in America.
I mean, we make our own spirits now as well, and making our wines. And it's always been very important to us that we bring that balance, not just to our product itself, but to our bar experiences. That it's pretty much anyone that comes in here can be served and get like a really, really good experience. It's always really number one. So that's really the overall synergy of that in our beer as well, and in the experience of coming in.
Yeah. So one of the most important things about brew pub, why I love brew pubs and really great tap rooms as well, is the idea of getting that beer super fresh on location. You can see where it's made, which is a nice thing, but it's more about that beer is going to be in the best possible condition it can be. And if we go downstairs, you've got some stuff to make sure that's the case. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. Let's go down.
Cool. Alrighty. So what are these things?
These are serving tanks, which we have 7 of on site. So we have these 2 big ones, which is mainly lager and pale, some of the big volume beers that we put into those. And then just in front of us here we have 5, just like we build up to the ceiling with a bit smaller tanks, with a little bit more like quick turnaround of like more special beers. But basically the idea is that as soon as the beer's done, we pump them into these tanks. It's kind of like filling up one big keg.
Yeah.
Instead of having all these different kegs and they're going out to different places. Because it's just going up to the tap upstairs. This is kind of the not just the easiest way, but it's the best condition for the beer.
Yeah, so there's less chance of any oxidation. In a bigger volume, the oxidation effect's going to be less.
The most beautiful part, which I really like, is when we brew a lager and it's sitting conditioning tank, as we put it in here, because these tanks are just over the 0 degrees.
Yeah.
It just keeps on conditioning. It
just carries on lagering.
So
it's the opposite of a keg. Like the longer it's on tap, almost the better.
Almost the better, actually. It's like at least like I'd say like 1,000 litre lager will last us maybe a month's time.
Yeah.
You'll come in the first day, in a month's time it'll probably taste even better.
Yeah.
Which is, it's kind of the dream, especially for lager drinkers.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants beer to improve rather than get worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. But as you see, you have 20 taps up there, so it's kind of like always like kind of like a puzzle of like getting like a beer into tank and then you like getting it out as well as fast as possible. But that's why we want to be doing something like pale ales and IPAs and those numbers as well, because you want to drink those really fresh anyway. And that's kind of like always been a big point, I think, for us to make sure that we tell that story of what is a good pale ale, a good IPA is something that's just, it's brewed on site, you consume it on site as fast as possible. There's nothing in between to make it go bad, because obviously the hops are just gonna fade away over time, even in the serving tank.
Yeah.
So getting those in, get them out in a month's time max, and get the new beer in.
Get them in, get them out, get them down.
Exactly.
Yeah. Alrighty, well let's go have a look at the beautiful brew house that you've got upstairs and see where the beers that fill this are being made.
That's like a plan.
Brad pirouetting to get the shot. So, how big is the brew kit that you're brewing on here?
So it's 7.5 hec, which is in about 3-4 UK barrels. You have to excuse me because I'm Danish and I've just started to work in barrels, and
I don't know why
so let's say 7.5 hec, and then people
we can translate it in the description.
The people that like to know, they figure it out. 7.5 hec, which is pretty much as maximum as we could fit into this building.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like, because of this site, it's just like a commercial unit in the middle of Exmouth Market. It's kind of, let's say we made it really hard for ourselves to build a brewery in here.
But I mean, you have made it hard, but it feels already like it's always been here, and just this glorious roof coming down on it to really highlight it. It looks absolutely incredible, and you've clearly invested quite significantly in a beautiful bit of kit to make sure the beer's going to be cracking.
It's the showpiece when you have a brew pub. Like, we build a brew pub, you should be hiding away, what is the big investment, like why people would come here instead of coming to one of our bars. Mm-hmm. And this is also, the hands-on actions. This is why Mark is brewing. So that's the whole experience that we add to this place. Of you come in, you're not just like drinking it fresh, you're seeing it being made.
Yeah.
And then you come back
and
in
you're smelling it as well.
Exactly.
It smells amazing right now with the mash, and then when those hops go in.
Exactly. Nice.
Trying to get us.
Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Well, we'll get out of the way of Mark because clearly we're in the way, and we're going to be tasting some beers with Mark in a bit. Some of the beers that he's been brewing pretty much under lockdown, and now finally they're reaching customers. Thanks for the tour, Mads. To the bar. So we're here with Mark, head brewer at London's Mikkeller Brewpub. How exciting is that?
Very exciting. It's huge project that's been in the works for a while, and to have a brew pub in Exmouth Market is just unreal.
Yeah, magical road, like amazing food, great bars as well, and now you're part of that.
Absolutely.
Where did you come from? What's your background?
So before joining Mikkeller at the start of the year, I was at Brew by Numbers. I was head brewer there, and prior to that, I was brewing in Copenhagen for Ale Farm. And before that, I started my career at Beavertown, where I was there for 3 years.
The Tottenham site, when it was all kicking off for them.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right, so what have we got in front of us? I think we're starting with a Helles, right?
Yes, so we have what we call the Market Helles. It's oated or rustic Helles, premium Pilsner malt, oat malt.
Oh yeah, really fresh, like little hint of acidity that makes it really bright, but lots of body as well from the oats. I like the term rust. Is that a term that people are using now for sort of adjuncty lagers, like a rustic lager?
Yeah, it seems to be going around at the moment. Originally, we were going to call it an oated Helles, so, and we've noticed a lot of people are calling them rustic lagers as well. So yeah, we kind of call it both, really. Yeah.
It's got good solid bitterness as well. It's German hops, or have you?
Yes, so in this it's got bittered with German Magnum and well pulled with Hull Melon.
Oh right, cool. So some modern fruitiness coming out of that as well, yeah.
For me, the magic of a place like this is the prospect of tank fresh beers that have never seen the light of day, that have literally come from down there. A couple of meters, they're just coming straight up, everything's cold, everything's crisp. can't get much better, right?
Absolutely. There's no travelling of said kegs. They're never sitting warm. As you said, never see the light of day, and it's always cold. So from being crash cooled to being transferred to the serving tank, it's always cold.
Yeah.
So it's as close as it can get to kind of the expression that you were hoping for. There's been
Absolutely.
no interference happening.
Brilliant.
Well, let's talk about the hazy pale ale that we've got in front of us. So what's the recipe of this one?
So this is low colour golden promise, oat malt, jumbo oats fermented with Nottingham yeast. It's a single hop Nelson Sauvin pale ale, and it's called London Calling. It was a poll that we did on social media to decide what our first beer is going to be called, and this was the winner.
Right. Yeah, gooseberry, a little bit dank as well, a little bit sweaty, which is real nice. Haven't had a dank beer in a while. And what's Nottingham yeast? That's not one I've come across very regularly in sort of the hazier style brewing.
Yeah, so it obviously can retain that sort of the hazy look that you want in a hazy pale ale, but it is relatively neutral, and it ferments out really well.
Yeah, it's really dry.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in more yeast strains eventually, but I thought it was a safe bet to start off with the Nottingham. Yeah, very happy.
Yeah, and it's not. I think Nelson benefits from a drier body generally because some of it's the flavours we think it's most famous for, which is that gooseberry, white grape kind of thing. Actually, when you put it with a really, really fruity yeast, you're never going to pick up those subtleties. Whereas with a dry yeast, it's really nice. So this beauty here, what a colour! It's a Goza, right? Technically.
Yes, fruited Goza called Sort Salt Bear. So it's a blackcurrant and licorice fruited Goza, and it's basically just got very traditional grist, so extra pale base malt and lots of wheat, and it's soured with lactobacillus overnight.
Oh, loads of salinity, loads of salt. That's not like I really enjoy a really salty Goza. Like I always loved the Westbrook one, which was just a like salted lemon after a tequila levels of whoa.
Yeah, we're kind of inspired by the salted licorice from Scandinavia with this one, so we really wanted a big hit of salt in it, and thought it would pair really well with blackcurrant.
Yeah, and I thought the licorice would be really, really strong, but actually it's just a little side note. You've got the kind of Ribena-esque juicy sweet fruits and just a little bit of depth from the licorice and then a smack of salt.
And this is actually the first beer that I came up with my colleague Ariel, who will be joining me eventually to brew here, but she is still in New York.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare to get over here. And this is the first recipe we came up with together. And yeah.
So she's emailing across ideas and you're working together.
Yeah, we actually came up with this just before the Wild Beer celebration in Copenhagen. And yeah, we were just thinking, it's a great combination of beer, blackcurrant and licorice. Let's go with it. So,
yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
It really does taste like those. I don't know what the brand is. The really concentrated little licorice that you get little tablets in Sweden and places. You seen those? They're like little guys.
Pirata, I think it's the Haribo, the blue bag, I think.
We can find out and flash it up on screen pretty quickly, given that this is on the live show.
Yes.
So we'll work that out. But yeah, like lovely deep licorice without being dominating. It feels like, you know, the concept of Mikkeller is by being a contract brewery, they can produce all kinds of stuff that they love doing, and then these brew pubs can all have their own individual styles and their own individual things. And you know, San Diego is sort of known for its IPAs, obviously. Backhaven's known for its sours. Is there sort of an identity that you guys are going to be finding here, or are you going to be contributing to this mad beer board behind with lots of stuff?
I basically, I'd like to appeal to a lot of the locals. I'd like to have regulars coming in, wanting to have pints with their mates, and also I'd like to bring new experiences to drinkers, because possibly a lot of people that will come in here won't be familiar with, say, a Goza. They'll come in once
They'll come in for the
lager,
hells and
they'll
use
see
how
that.
you
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the joy of beers like this. And also, like, glassware has that huge impact as well. When people see amazing glassware or see an amazing colour, they're like, well, I'm going to have that next now that I've seen it. Yeah, so I'm really intrigued to see what Mikkeller are going to do in London. We were saying earlier that maybe some of the variations gone out of the pubs. And it's just great to see a beer board like that, which is just, you know, in the best possible way, absolutely all over the place. And I really enjoy seeing those beer boards, which you definitely get in Scandinavia. I think it's a very sort of Nordic approach to the drinking in these craft beer bars, which the UK is not so good at.
Yeah, like we're used to seeing just a load of pale ales or whatever, or IPAs and not else.
Yeah.
What are you actually brewing today?
So today is actually our first collaboration. It's an e-collaboration with Lost and Grounded Brewers. And yeah, we're doing a Belgian IPA, and it's going to be nice and dry. Dry hopped also with American and continental hops. So we've got Citra, Idaho 7 and Hallertau Blanc. And they also sent over their Bastogne yeast, which we'll be fermenting it with. And yeah, look out for it in 2 or 3 weeks.
So it's going to be really fruity on the nose, some citric qualities as well as that sort of Belgian spice and fruit, and then really nice and dry. Yeah, that's very exciting. I haven't drunk a Belgian IPA in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just went out of style. I guess yeast-forward IPAs became New England IPAs. So yeah, it sounds like there's going to be some amazing beers coming out of here, some real variation as well, which is going to be great in the months to come, perhaps. So do come down. If you're ever in London, this is on Exmouth Market. Get yourself some dinner at the amazing places opposite, like Morrow. Although you guys are going to have some Chinese food while you wait for is your chef stuck in New York as well?
He is actually, yes.
There we go. So they're going to get some pop-ups as well, so there'll be interesting food being served next to all these amazing different beers. So do come down, Exmouth Market in central London, and you might well see us and Brad sessioning on the biggest thing they have by the pint. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, we all reached for different beers. There you go, that's the truth, that's what it's all about.